Voilà, et nous allons à présent rester dans le même sujet, mais
Now
vous
we're going to
présenter
continue
une
with another speaker.
intervenante, voilà, qui va vous parler de
Here
son
she is.
association
She'll be talking about her
d'éco-citoyenneté,
association. It's called
Flora Joubier,
Eco-citoyenneté. We're going to
voilà,
listen
à
to
la
Flora
reconquête des
Joubier.
légumes, voilà, qui va vous
The
présenter
topic
justement
will be again
le beau projet
about
qu'ils ont fait.
vegetables and how we can do our best to eat more vegetable. Hello, I'm Flora Joubier. I work for an association, the name of which is Eco-citoyenneté. I'm a facilitator in charge of the environment. Usually I'm in front of younger audiences. And that's why I have these earrings you see today. These are the types of things I try and wear when I'm with children.
Comment? Effectivement, ça m'arrivera un jour, j'espère. Voilà, donc ce projet, je remercie la Fondation
I'd like to thank the Bonduelle Foundation for inviting us. We'll be talking about this project. Thank you for supporting us. The topic is à la reconquête des légumes. We're going to conquer again the vegetable world. It all started in September 2015. I'm going to share with you all the details of our project. There we are. First, who are we? A few words about our association, what we do. We're a non-profit organization, and we're in the French county called Aude, where we have the towns of Carcassonne and Narbonne. This is at county level. What we do is that we cover the whole département or county. We belong to a network called Education to the Environment and Sustainable Development. The objective for us is to encourage solidarity-based behaviors, awareness of citizens, and to give people the appetite to act. We organize debates. Our objective is not a top-down approach, but on the contrary, we want greater awareness. We want to grow awareness amongst children so that they're aware of the surrounding world and how societies work. The main themes we cover are diet or food and consumption. What I'll be talking about belongs to the first pillar called food and diet. This is a bit of a history. This is how the association was set up. It was set up in 2007. This is a young association. The first employee started working for us in 2012, and the name of our project is À la reconquête des légumes. Let's eat more vegetable for us and for our planet. And then in March 2016, we hired another employee, and that's me, to support our project. This type of project will help me as well. The project will end in December 2017, so we've gone halfway. Why did we want to have such a project? What were the objectives? The objective of the association is to support awareness so that people are more aware of a number of things such as climate. This is one of the posters that we use on the climate. The objective is to understand that when we eat meat, it has impacts. Why? What are the impacts on the surrounding world, on us, on our health and the environment in general? The objective is to reduce meat consumption. So to do this, we have to find other solutions. That's why we talk about plant-based proteins and pulses as well, to offset the fact that we're going to eat less meat. If we need to offset things, of course. So these are the solutions. This is an exhibit that we've had for several years before we presented our project to the Bonduelle Foundation. These are the premises. We want to reduce our meat consumption. We want children to be aware of this, and therefore we have to give them options and promote vegetable and pulses. That's why we hatched this project. The main objectives are to change children's perception on vegetable. Children aged 8 to 18. Usually children don't like eating vegetable very much. It's a question of taste, it's a question of bad habits, it's something that they don't want to have at the school cafeteria or at home. What's very important for us as well is to talk about diet balance, a balanced diet. We'll talk about food diversity, not just eating vegetable, but having a balanced diet. And as I said before, we have to talk about the protein intake in vegetable and pulses. We want children to discover pulses. Usually they don't really know what beans are, and therefore we're going to organize cooking events with them and recipes so that they can eat them as well. What we like doing as well is talking about preparation of vegetable, cooking things. So we'll show them everything, how vegetables were grown and how they're cooked afterwards. And finally, as I'll show you in a minute, we also intend to reduce food waste at school. Things go together. We want to change children's perception, and in doing that, we think we're going to have less food waste at home and at school. Who's the audience? Well, as I said before, children aged between 8 and 18. We work with 2 primary schools and also in a secondary school, children aged more or less 11, and also a secondary school, children aged 16 more or less, in a special school for the caregivers. These people will become future caregivers at home, in hospitals, or with children as well. So they need these types of projects so that afterwards they can give food in a different way to the people they're going to care for or care about. It's therefore better if they know which are the food options. This classroom will make a presentation to more pupils, so 150 pupils more, which means that all in all, we'll reach 256 children for one given school year. Next year, we want to target at least 250 as well. How are we going to develop this program? During a school year, we try and make 5 up to 8 presentations. We, our association called Eco-citoyenneté, we make these presentations. We give them educational tools, we organize a farm visit, and we are present. We do this with teachers who are motivated, who would like to have a red thread that lasts the whole year. So the teachers themselves will have to repeat these types of presentations throughout the year. We start with a stock-taking exercise. We look at behaviors. That's what we want to do before we make a presentation. We work in rural areas, but also in rather big towns and cities. So we have to realize that children have different views on vegetables, whether they live in the countryside or in urban environments. In urban environments, usually children have prepared food and they don't really know where the vegetable comes from. And then we have awareness workshops, all types of workshops. I'll give you some examples. And then we try and organize 1 or 2 farm visits. 2 visits. It's important, to know that seasons are very important for vegetables. So autumn and winter, to know what is grown at that moment, and then during spring and summer, to know what has changed for children to see what types of food is going to be grown. And we have as well special cookery events, or cooking rather events, to help them prepare the food they're going to eat. And you will see that their behaviors will change when they see the vegetables before and after they're prepared. Awareness will develop faster. And at the end of the year, we try and take stock of what we've done. First, the behaviors of pupil. That was done in a small town in our county. 75 participants answered our questionnaire. The questions were asked by the children themselves. They organized their own poll. The teachers did that with their pupils. The first question is, do you throw away much of what is proposed to you at the school cafeteria? Now that's the question. You could say, okay, we have all types of answers. We have yes, no, sometimes, it depends, or never. Okay, it's we have too many answers, but then 53% of all pupils say, well, sometimes. So why do they say sometimes? Why do they say, more precisely, it depends? On the right-hand side, we have the types of food that they throw away. More than 40% of them say it's either fruit or vegetable that we throw away. And also there's fish, which is quite surprising. Fish and or meat, but I suppose it's fish that they throw away because usually children like eating meat and starchy food as well. So the biggest rather column is fruit and vegetable. We will therefore give them tools so that they change their habits. And then there's another question, which is, okay, you throw away fruits and vegetables, yet what are the ones you'd like to eat? The problem is that these were closed answers. The pupils prepared the poll, and therefore the panel is not big enough. That's the only drawback. They included potatoes in vegetable in general, so we'll talk about plant-based proteins for children. We're not going to make any difference because it's too complicated for them, so we'll talk about vegetable in general. What's interesting in any case is that children made propositions such as green beans or French beans and peas, green peas, and other types of vegetables. 20% have said we'd like to have no vegetable whatsoever. So that's a challenge for us. Look at this. We'll say, okay, we're very useful. Our association is going to be very useful. We'll try and reduce the percentage here in this column called other types of vegetables, no vegetable. What's the contribution of our association? As I said before, our objective is to talk about a balanced diet. I'd like to show you I wanted to show you an animation, but it doesn't work. I'll give you the hyperlink. It's developed by Tralalaire with the support of the Ministry of Fisheries and Agriculture, of course. It's called Vincelou. So we have two children, a 12-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl, his sister, and this is an animation which is, in fact, they were allowed to choose what they wanted to eat at school, and Vince would only eat French fries and would just eat one bean because, you know, after all the commercials we have on TV, he thought, yeah, that's going to be good for me. But the girl would have a more balanced diet because she's more aware. She would have also milk and dairy produce. And these types of videos work well with children. It's always a good thing to use these cartoons or animated pictures. It's on the Vincelou site. It really is an educational tool that works very well. Don't hesitate and have a look at the web pages. What is important then is to understand that fruits and vegetables are very much connected to seasons. They don't grow throughout the year, so we use these types of drawings that we analyze with the pupils. So as you can see here, we have a salesperson, a client, and how are they dressed? Look at this. They have a scarf, they have gloves, and a coat. So it's in winter. What do we have then? What's for sale? Everything: bananas, mango, grapes, carrots, potatoes, endives, and oranges as well. So we look at where these products come from, and that's when we talk about seasonal fruits and exotic fruits as well. That's the first step, for them to understand that there are products that come from other countries, like mango and banana, fruits, vegetable, things they like, but coming from the other side of the world. And children usually say, it's much more expensive. I was not thinking about this, but children tend to look at prices. And finally, what we do is organize things locally. We go to the local supermarket and they analyze things, but this time it's a hands-on session, and they understand that there are products coming from other countries, products that are seasonal and others that are not. Then pupils have worked on posters and a quiz as well. Feedback is something very important. That is, they have to understand what we do for them, but then afterwards they want to share this with others. It's important for us because then we're going to reach more pupils without us being present with them. And the third dimension is to talk about the protein intake in plant-based food. This is what we use with them. It's the protein intake per 100 grams. It's true that when we eat, we don't necessarily think about our protein intake, but if you look at girls have a special lesson on a balanced diet, and when they're told that they have to eat less meat, they're going to say, yes, but we need proteins. It's not good for our health otherwise. And that's what we say. That's what we use with them. It works better if you're aged 14 or above. But these, as you can see, are pictures that have been taken. There's a drawing that shows the type of food that's going to give you the given amount of proteins. That's for them to understand the different sources of protein in the world. And usually they realize that beef is not the most important type of food. There's algae, but also seeds. Eggplant seeds, for instance, 30 grams of protein for 100-gram intake, which is quite a lot. And afterwards, we're going to cook these vegetables with them so that they know how to prepare this type of food, which is really rich with proteins.
But before that, we do some tasting, of course, on winter and spring vegetables for more diversity. We've talked about the seasons, therefore it is important to show to the kids that we have different types of vegetables, and we show that there are different crops. We have a few examples here that are pictured of vegetables so that they can actually relate. They had raw beets. As you can see, they have red tongues. A lot of kids don't like beets. Typically, they are cooked. They're actually boiled, and then they're served cold in a salad. This time around, they were able to taste them raw, which of course was fun because it left them with a red tongue. So the first objective was to change their perception. Well, this was a great example. This is how we were able to change their perception of red beets. We talked about awareness on production. So we discovered different production methods without going too much into detail, but how to manage the soil, how to, prepare the soil for the next crops and so on. And then kids get to work on a farm, on a map of a farm, for example. They would decide that on this plot they're going to put this crop, they're going to use this or this intrant or not. Again, we're asking them to do this all quite consciously and in a playful way. It's a bit like managing their own farm. And at the end, we have this. This is, again, quite broad. They have a few examples here of crops, for example, hydroponic tomatoes, strawberries, grown in a greenhouse, kiwis, and then we have the impacts on the environment or on health. So how far do they travel? Are they seasonal? Are they grown with fertilizers or chemical products? How many vitamins do they contain, and how tasty are they? So this table we use at the very end, and once again, the kids love it because this shows that they got it. It's very simple. It's yes or no. They are quite interactive as well with this. And last but not least, we have a farm visit. We don't really do this at the beginning of the year in November or December. We do it at the end of the year. It's their final reward, so to speak. They've done a good job. They've been very active. They've actually consumed vegetables, and at the end we take them to a field trip where they can meet with local vegetable producers, and we organize workshops on soil and compost, where they discover that it's more than just earth. It's actually alive with all kinds of bugs and worms and so on. We have one workshop on seasonality and biodiversity, where the farmer presents the different crops. And last but not least, we have a workshop on taste, during which the kids get to actually prepare and taste the food. And that's where we took the picture with the red tongue. A few pictures here taken during the visit. So once again, you can see the kids here seeing what crops are being grown on the farm. We have the kids who are actually discovering the soil, and last but not least, the tasting. Moving on to the cooking workshop. This is where the kids get to do some hands-on. Again, it's great fun. They love it. They get to participate and actually cook the vegetables they've been working on. So the last time we actually cooked pasta with some meat, and we cooked some vegetables. And again, we were able to analyze the protein intake or nutritional values of both. The kids love it. They're eager to cook it at home. And at the very end of the year, we have a final feedback session. We create some posters as well, and the end of the project is about measuring how much progress has been made in terms of perception change. And then back to us, to what we are doing at a higher level. Well, we're now working on food waste at the high school level. For the 2016 and 17 years, we're going to reach out to other schools, and hopefully we can work with them. So far, we've only done this during 1 year, and hopefully we can work with, we can have more workshops. We're going to be working with the city of Limoux, and we're going to organize soup workshops for underprivileged communities living in the area, and we're going to teach them how to cook soup. We're going to have additional workshops as well, cooking workshops for seasonal products. And that is it for my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.